Hi, Ms. Burnett. This is question number 3, which asks, analyze how our brains learn, the time it takes to learn, and the impact of stress on the brain. The most complex organ in our body is the brain. The brain has so many different functions, and among these is learning. The brain is the head of intelligence in our body. Firstly, the brain learns by creating knowledge through 6 different steps or stages. The first step is motivation, in which you have an interest in the subject. The second stage is starting to practice, which is exactly what it says. You practice, and if you make errors, you ask questions. The third stage is advanced practice. In this stage, you have confidence in the subject. The fourth stage is skillfulness, in which you are now having some success and you are actually enjoying learning the subject. The fifth stage is refinement, where you are showing drastic improvement. And the final stage is mastery, in which you teach the subject and look for higher challenges in it. During these steps, dendrites, or fibers, grow out of the 100 billion neurons that we are born with. These dendrites grow out of our brains whenever we learn something, whether it be listening to something, writing about something, or talking about something. Dendrites can also grow out of other dendrites that are already there as a result of knowing something. As they continue growing from other dendrites and neurons, the brain learns more and more. Therefore, learning is the growth of dendrites. Because dendrites take time to grow, we have to practice what we are trying to learn. After we practice something, the dendrites grow thicker with an outer layer called myelin. The thicker the dendrites are, the faster the signals are between 2 dendrites, or synapses. After a lot of practice, dendrites create a double connection. These double connections can last for a very long time. This is how we remember things. Now, how long does it actually take the brain to learn something? We have 2 types of memory, short-term memory and long-term memory. We've all tried to study something right before a test, but during the test, we suddenly forget what we just learned. This is because short-term memory is really short. When we learn something in a really short time and never practice it, chances are we only remember about 60% of it. That is why we need to study at least 4 days in advance so that we can keep practicing the subject so it gets locked in our brains. Studying only 1 day before the test is even worse because you will only remember 30% of it. Long-term memory holds on to memories by storing them throughout the brain as groups of neurons. Stress has a major effect on our brain's function. Chronic stress can actually damage the brain. This explains why people of our younger generation who are exposed to so much stress in their early lives are prone to develop learning problems, anxiety, and mood disorders later on in life. Stress causes the release of hormones called cortisol. Cortisol has been known to kill cells in the hippocampus. This shows that stress causes the premature aging of the brain. Now, this is not to say that cortisol is dangerous. In fact, if we didn't have cortisol, we would die. But too much of it is not a good thing either. The hippocampus, the structure in the brain that regulates memory and emotions, plays an important part in different emotional disorders. When put under long periods of stress, the hippocampus shrinks, causing different emotional and mood disorders. Another effect that stress has on the brain is the excess of white matter produced. White matter interconnects neurons and also creates different communication networks between regions of the brain. The brain should not have a lot of white matter because it needs to maintain an efficient, streamlined communication network between the different parts of the brain. Thank you.